Hey everybody, welcome to a special edition of Cruiseman's Garage. Recently, I was invited to sit down on a Zoom call with Rick Arnoldo, who is the president CEO of WingStuff. I'm sure most of you are familiar with WingStuff. They're probably the largest Honda Goldwing online reseller of accessories and just cool stuff. I'm sure most of you have heard of WingStuff. Well, they do a periodic podcast, or what they call a WingCast, where Rick interviews somebody from the motorcycle industry, or more specifically, the Goldwing segment of the motorcycle industry. And he invited me to be interviewed. So I'm going to shut up and just let you watch the WingCast with Rick Arnoldo. Well, I know you're the host, but I'm going to ask you a question. What's your view on dark siding?
This video is sponsored by Cruiseman's Garage Honda Goldwing Maintenance Video Series.
Well, hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of WingCast. And today's guest is pretty popular on YouTube. I've known him for many years. He's a real avid Goldwing motorcycle rider, among other things. And that's Chris, also known as Cruiseman. So, Chris, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of our listeners might know of your YouTube channel, and some of them don't. So we invited you to the show today to tell everybody a little bit about your YouTube channel, a little bit about you. So I guess the best place to start is, how did you even get into motorcycles? That's probably a good place to start, right? How did you even get into riding motorcycles? We'll start there.
Well, that goes back to when I was like 15 years old. And I guess for at least a year, I had been really pestering my mom about getting a mini bike. I just was really, I couldn't live without it. And she was just dead set against it. But she finally relented. And one day we went over to the Honda dealer, and I had my heart set on a Honda Trail 70. And she, sure enough, she bought me a Trail 70. I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
And it was the happiest day of my life.
Mom actually bought it.
And got me a helmet, and all I could do was ride around the backyard. I didn't have a license, of course.
Right.
And finally got her to let me ride up and down the alley. We had dirt alleys there in Midland. And
right.
Eventually, it led to going out in the country riding, mostly trail riding. And that's kind of how I got into it. And then I, moved up to a couple of different motorcycles from there. I guess when I didn't ride after I was about 18. I got 17, I got a car. So I was interested in, girls and cars and stuff. So I stopped riding. And then when I was about 21, I bought a Suzuki 550 GT 550 used from a guy. So I don't know if you remember those old 2-stroke 3-cylinders.
Yeah, they were fast, actually.
They were pretty quick.
Yeah.
And I rode it around a little bit, did my first road trip on one of those, and swore I'd never do another road trip after that. But because the wind and the heat and everything.
Sure.
Proved myself wrong years later.
Yeah, that's certainly not a Goldwing, is it?
No, it isn't. And especially without a windshield. And so...
Yeah, and your mom actually got you the bike. With me, it was the opposite. My dad didn't care. My mom didn't want me to have the bike.
Okay, that same kind of thing. See,
yeah,
I didn't have a dad at the time. My dad had died when I was young, so it's just my mom, and she, she wasn't going to have it. So, but she finally gave in, and then I didn't ride. When I sold my Suzuki, probably when I was 23, and I don't think I rode a motorcycle again until I was in my 50s.
Yeah,
and, wow. Or maybe, or right around 50, I guess. Well, 2005.
Sure.
And I was playing golf every day. We bought a new house here in the Carrollton area, and there's a golf course right down the street. So I was playing golf, and then my hands started really hurting me. And I'd been watching a lot of motorcycle shows on TV, and I thought, you know what? I think I'm ready to get back into it. Went and bought a Harley Sportster.
Wow.
And rode that for a few months, and then, it was obviously too small for me, even though it was the biggest bike I had ever ridden at that time. Because back when I was riding motorcycles, a 750 was the biggest motorcycle you could buy. I think Kawasaki might have just been coming out with a 900.
Yeah.
But, a 750 was considered, the CB 750 was it.
So you started riding, and then you gave it up for a lot of years, and then you got back to it.
Yeah.
So how old, what part of your life were you at when you started getting back into motorcycles?
Well, it would have been 2006. Well, no, 2005. So, what is that? 17 years ago?
Wow.
18 years ago.
Yeah.
I got back into it and have been riding ever since. I mean, I bought the Sportster.
Sure.
Then, believe it or not, we actually took a road trip on it down to Austin. And it was just too small. And everybody in the Harley group was telling me, you need to get an Ultra or a Road King or something. They kind of made fun of me for riding a Sportster. So I was thinking about getting a touring bike. We even rented an Ultra and rode it to West Texas. But that thing just, I'm sure you've ridden them. The heat coming off that engine.
It'll get to you after a while.
It was incredible. And it was like 104 degrees outside when we were riding to Midland.
Wow.
So I was on eBay. I did a lot of stuff on eBay, and I was on eBay and I saw this Goldwing come up for sale on eBay or come up for auction. And just on a whim, I don't even know why I did it. Because I was not even considering a Goldwing, and I put a bid in, and I thought, I'm going to put a bid in that's so ridiculously low that there's no way I'm going to get it. But if I do, fine.
Sure.
Next day, woke up, sure enough, I'd won the bid.
You got the bid.
Yeah, we got the bid. The 2005 anniversary edition, one of the big yellow ones.
Sure.
And that was my first Goldwing. And I remember riding it home. It was actually for sale by a car dealership here in town. Somebody had traded it in on a Subaru.
Yeah.
And I remember riding it home and thinking, oh my gosh, this is so different. This is like this. I didn't know a motorcycle could be
that smooth. Yeah. Right.
Powerful and and I was afraid it was going to be too big and hard to handle. And it was so easy to handle. And that was it. That was kind of where the love affair started, I guess you could say.
It changed your life. Look at you now, right?
You just never know. Because my background was so far away from what I do now. I mean, I was a database developer, application programmer. I was a computer guy.
Yeah.
And now I don't know what I am now. I guess.
Now you're known as Cruiseman, and of course, and there's a funny twist to this story because people know of you for doing reviews and putting accessories on and this and that, but that actually came from you doing reviews for cruise line ships. Is that correct? Right.
That's right. And I think a lot of people think the name Cruiseman is referring to cruising on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
But it's actually, it was a name that was given to me by the Harley group. I was the group photographer, and everybody has a handle, in a Harley group and even in the Goldwing world. And they just named me Cruiseman because we were always on a cruise ship somewhere.
Yeah.
And we still have a website where we review cruise ships and all over the world, been on 139 different cruises.
Wow.
And it just, that's where the name comes from. And you're right. I was reviewing cruise ships, writing reviews, and started doing some videos of cruise ship reviews. Sure. And so a lot of that kind of translated and helped me, in this area of motorcycles, because we got into the cruise business because it's something we enjoy doing. It's something we love. So I'm not going to work at something that I don't enjoy.
Sure.
So the same with motorcycles. It's a passion, just like travel is kind of a passion of mine. So that's how it got started. And then
you started doing reviews for cruises, and so you started that before you did anything for motorcycles, correct?
That's true. I had developed back in, say, the late 90s, a piece of software. Actually, it was a website for travel agents. And it was specifically for cruise travel agents. And this was back before there was, Squarespace or Wix or any of these template-based websites.
Yeah.
And I had basically created a template-based website tool for travel agents, and where they could come in, put in a credit card, and within 10 minutes, literally, they had a website with all the cruise content on it and everything. And it was revolutionary at the time.
Wow.
And it just exploded. And that's where that part got. But I got into that because of technology. I was developing an application.
Yeah.
And so I think, doing the videos on whether it's accessory installations or whether it's how to take apart panels on the Goldwing or work on anything, I have a lot of background in training and showing people how to do things, and especially people that aren't technically oriented.
Yeah.
Because when you're dealing with software and you're doing tech support, you're usually dealing with people that, you say press any key on the keyboard,
right,
and they're literally looking for a key with the word ANY on it,
Sure.
And so that kind of helped, I think, get me grounded into what it takes to help people that aren't maybe mechanically inclined, which I'm not a mechanic by trade,
right.
So when I do these things, I'm doing it as pretty much a novice. It's not like I'm professionally trained.
Yeah, that's your whole claim to fame, isn't it? I mean, from the beginning when I started watching your videos, it was all about, I'm a regular guy. I have regular tools like anyone would in my garage. And I'm going to show you that with a little bit of attention to detail, you can put stuff on your motorcycle just like me. And I think that's what people like about your channel. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's, if there's a secret sauce, I think that's it. I mean, I always try to come across as, if I can do this, you can do it. And I turn it around and look at it the other way. If that 19-year-old kid down at the Honda dealer could do it, I know damn well I can do it.
Sure. Oh, yeah, no.
I mean, this is not rocket science. It's not like you're working on a Boeing 737. I mean, this is it's a motorcycle. And
years ago, people were afraid to do things, but nowadays, I think you'll agree with this, instructions are so much better. You have YouTube assisting you in many cases.
Exactly.
So by you doing that, it's a very interesting thing for people because you take the fear away. People have that confidence when they watch you do it, and you basically go through the instructions with them on your videos, which I think is great.
That's right. And hopefully, like today, I just did an installation video. I haven't put it out yet. It's on a Showchrome product. It's just that little stupid fender extension. It's nothing great, nothing elaborate, but there's some little tricks you can, no matter what you're installing, after you've worked on the bike for a while, you learn these little tricks.
Sure.
And you can help maybe pass that along, and maybe it keeps somebody from not necessarily screwing anything up, because you can't really screw much up. I guess you could break a tab or something.
Yeah.
But you might save them some time and some frustration if they know right up front what tools they need or what chemicals they need, or a lot of times manufacturers don't take the time to put that in the instructions.
Yeah.
Just because they assume people know certain things that they may or may not know. Yeah. So I always try to take the tack that the people watching my videos really don't know anything. They're just kind of starting out.
Sure. And that builds more value in it, because the instructions tell you how to do it, but it doesn't tell you those little things in between. Right. So people rely on you for that. I think it's great information. I know you put a lot of work into making your videos. Can you share a little bit about what that might look like? What is the process when you actually do an installation video? People see it from home. They might think it's easy, but I know it takes a lot to make videos.
Yeah, it does. I mean, the way I do it, for example, I did like I said, just that little fender extension video today, and I think I probably spent 2 hours for a job that really only takes maybe 15 minutes to do.
Sure.
There's lighting that has to be considered, especially on a Goldwing, or it'd be the same on a car.
Sure.
You're dealing with a lot of black surfaces with black fasteners, and it's hard to see these things sometimes. So
Right.
you've got black on black on black with a black screwdriver, and you've got to get the light just right, or hopefully get it just right, so that people can kind of see what you're doing. So a lot of times I'll shoot like me just putting a screw into a threaded, nut.
Right.
And I might reshoot that 4 or 5 times just because maybe it's out of focus, or maybe
Right.
it jumps out of focus, or the light's not right. So that's part of that process of getting enough footage, and then you go into editing, and the editing it'll probably end up being a 9-minute video. By the time it's said and done, 8 or 9 minutes, you kind of have this YouTube thing where you try to get a video to be at least 8 minutes long,
Right.
because of the ad revenue, and we have to have ad revenue to support the channel.
Sure.
But occasionally I'll put out a video that's 5 or 6 minutes long, but usually they're 8 to 10 minutes if it's a simple installation.
Yeah. Do you find any of, like, when you're doing these videos, is there any challenging parts? What's the most challenging part when you're doing a video?
Well, for me, it's just the environment. I mean, I do not have an air-conditioned garage.
Mm-hmm.
So in the summertime, like this morning, it was probably 80% humidity.
Time for an air conditioner, Chris.
Yeah, I know. I've been toying with that, but really, honestly, that's my biggest challenge, is dealing with the environment. I usually have to do everything early in the morning when it's cool. Sometimes it's dark outside.
Yeah, right.
And even then, we get mosquitoes, and I'll get mosquitoes flying in front of the camera, and I have to deal with that. As far as the work itself,
Yeah.
there have been a few projects that were a little challenging, especially if they deal with products that come from China, maybe, and they have really bad instructions.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, as a YouTuber, you're constantly inundated with these companies that want to send you their products to review.
Sure.
And quite frankly, I turn more of them down than I accept, because they're just, I'm just not in the business of making, free videos so that they can sell Chinese stuff. You know what I mean? I know
what you're saying.
It's all this Amazon stuff, and I really try to pare that down as much as I can.
Have you had anything really ridiculous come your way? Like somebody wanted you to, do a review or install something that you just thought was like pretty cool?
I get it all the time. I get companies wanting to send me stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with motorcycles.
Yeah.
It's like LED lighting for your house, or it's outdoor LED lighting, a lot of LED lighting.
Yeah.
I don't know how many companies are manufacturing tire inflators, but I'll bet I've had at least 50 companies try to get me to review their tire inflator, your little portable things that you can stick in a saddlebag or something.
Oh, yeah, they're all over. Yeah.
And I had a company one time actually pay me to make a video for a tire inflator product. It was on a Kickstarter program, and they sent it to me, and I went out and I was testing it. I plugged it in. I aired the tire up about halfway, and then it started smoking. I had to tell them, I said, I don't think you want me to put out this review.
Wow.
But I'll tell you what, I'll just refund your money. And
sure.
And they said, yeah, just throw it away, and we'll send you one when we come out with a fix. Well, they never.
Unbelievable. Well,
So, you get weird stuff all the time. I'm trying to really cut back on that, though. They don't get lots of views anyway. They're not real popular videos.
Yeah.
My MOTOVLOGs do better.
Yeah, of course.
I do. I mean, I do some videos here in the studio. Like last night, I did a new Crowning Comments. I have that monthly show I do. And I'll talk on a variety of topics, usually take people's comments that they put on my YouTube videos, and I'll respond to those in that video. And those videos seem to do pretty well. Anything to do with maintenance or installing accessories that people are interested in.
Sure.
Seem to do very well. And of course, recently I had the motorcycle accident.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that. You told me a little bit about what happened, but Chris had an accident recently with his Goldwing, and Chris, tell us what happened with that.
Well, the short story is I was on my way to see my brother in West Texas to visit him, and I did something I never do. I was going to get some gas in Big Spring, Texas, and which is only about 45 miles from Midland, and I pulled off. Oh, I didn't pull off. I was actually on an overpass getting ready to go to a truck stop, which is on the other side of the intersection. And I pulled up behind a semi.
Yeah.
And I was probably 20 feet behind him. There was another lane of traffic on my left going by the same direction. So it's hard to get over far enough to the left for him to see me in his rearview mirror, because otherwise somebody could hit me from behind as they're coming up, on my left side.
Yeah.
And to my horror and surprise, he just starts backing up. He put it in reverse. It just starts coming back.
And he didn't even see you.
He never saw me.
Oof.
And he felt me before he saw me. And when that little safety bar hit my front tire and exploded the front tire and broke the front wheel, and the bike tipped a little bit to one side, and I was about to get off anyway, but I think it kind of ejected me off to one side.
This was an 18-wheeler, right?
It's an 18-wheeler, 50-ton semi.
And the fact that he didn't see you, and he didn't have a camera on the back,
no camera, didn't get a look before he did it. And I ended up on my right side on the ground, and all I can see are those wheels coming toward me.
Man. And
I'm thinking, I just had to roll out of the way. I said, I got to get off. And of course, there was a little sidewalk there.
Yeah.
It was pretty scary.
You're not even safe at an intersection like that. I mean, the truck didn't even see you, and he starts backing up. Can you imagine?
I have a whole different respect now for being behind a semi. I don't trust them. And I was very lucky, but because I had a witness, there was a guy coming by in a pickup truck, and he saw the whole thing. He had actually pulled up next to this semi driver and he saw him backing up, and he was waving at him to let him know I was back there and honking his horn and everything. And the guy never paid attention. He had headphones on. He was listening to music or something.
Well, I'm glad you're going to be okay. I mean, that's
I think I am.
How about your bike? Is your bike back to normal now?
It is now. I just picked it up about a little over a week ago. In fact, I think I talked to you on the phone when I was out in Midland. At the bike, and I rode it back to Dallas. I don't feel any major issues. There were some small things. I don't think the dealership out there is used to working on Goldwings. So there were some little things they kind of, little trim pieces that weren't put back on correctly. But I was able to fix those.
Sure.
Insurance, pretty much covered everything. And I still am dealing with the trucking company's insurance on some stuff, but that's another story. But so bike is running fine.
Yeah.
Right now I feel pretty confident that there was no serious damage to the frame or anything like that. I think they replaced the front fork, they replaced the front wheel, both discs.
You put special meaning into my most favorite thing. I always tell people, I say, make believe everybody's trying to hit you.
Exactly.
Trying to get them in a mindset to be proactive, be defensive. Make believe everybody out there is trying to hit you instead of being lazy and not paying attention. But in your situation, there was nothing you could have done, except get off that bike real fast. Did you start beeping the horn?
Oh, yeah. But that, I thought afterward, there's no way he can hear me. He's 50 feet away. But yeah, I did. I leaned on the horn and I'm trying to get the bike into reverse. But, you got to have it in neutral, and then you got to have the brake on.
Oh, you didn't have time for that. Yeah.
And you're looking at the truck coming at you, and you're thinking, I'm not going to get this done in time. Plus, there's cars coming up behind me stopping. So I would have just been sandwiched.
That's like a freak accident, though. You would think the truck would have a camera on the back. Of all things, why wouldn't a truck have a camera?
You'd think that'd be a requirement. As cheap as cameras are now.
I mean, it could have been, it could have been one of my kids or something in their car. It could have been a small little Volkswagen or a small little car, right?
Absolutely, and they can't. It's hard to get out.
Yeah, like I'm thinking like a little MG or something. It would have been.
Right.
I think you can see the Goldwing more than some of the small little cars. So,
Well, and you can jump off of a motorcycle.
yeah.
In a little car, you're just you're stuck in it unless you can get the door open and get out.
I'm glad you're okay, but that just goes to show people, you just got to watch out, and you can't take for granted that people see you. I always used to joke about safety lighting. People put lighting on their bikes because they love the way it looks, but at the same time, it does keep you safer.
Absolutely.
Loud horns, lighting, those are all my favorite things to put on a Goldwing, so I'm just glad you're going to be okay. That's the main thing. Speaking of that, and we're talking about safety stuff. What is your go-to stuff to wear? What is your favorite helmet, your jacket? What do you like to wear when you're riding your motorcycle?
Well, as far as a jacket goes, first of all, I never get on a motorcycle without a helmet, without a jacket.
I agree.
Without leather gloves, without boots.
Yeah.
And I wear some undergarment armor under my jeans, bone armor. Mm-hmm. And then my jacket I have had for several years. It's an Olympia, and I wish they were still in business because I really liked their products.
I remember them, yeah.
Yeah, and they're now, they didn't survive. I guess the COVID thing got them. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they didn't make it.
And I have a pair of Icon boots that I've just recently discovered. I've always struggled finding boots I like, but these Icons seem to do a pretty nice job. And then as far as the helmet, right now, I'd say always, for the last 7 or 8 years, I've been wearing HJC helmets.
Yep.
But I started wearing this Sena Impulse modular helmet that has the communicator built in.
Yeah, right. Yep.
And it seems to be pretty good. It's a little bit lighter than the HJC. The communicator works good. The speakers are good. Sure. It's relatively comfortable. I've tried some other helmets like Nolan's, and they just don't seem to fit me very well.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much my standard as far as gear.
Yeah.
It's nothing fancy. I don't have a fancy showy helmet or an Arai. I used to wear an Arai helmet, which I really liked.
Sure.
But they don't make a modular. If they made a modular, I might go back to an Arai.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like modular helmets as well. And my favorite helmet has always been an Arai. I like Arai's, but like you said, they don't make a modular. So I find myself wearing a bunch of different brand helmets as well. Yeah. Yeah.
And then I go back and forth between Cardo and Sena as far as communicators. Of course, the Sena helmet has it built in.
Yeah.
But I can't seem to get one of these companies to put the one feature that I want in a communicator. Is I want a micro SD card so you can easily record a group ride, so that anything that comes through that helmet, speaker, microphone, it records it. They do it with their action camera. Sena does it with their camera. Sure. But nobody's doing that with the audio communicator, and the hoops that you have to jump through to, as you know, I'm sure you've done it.
Yeah,
recording a group ride could be quite a challenge.
Yeah, and I know you've done some of these reviews. What is your favorite headset? That's a good question for you as far as a Bluetooth headset.
I go back and forth. Yeah. I jump back and forth from the Cardo Pack Talk Bold to the Sena 50S, and I think they both have advantages. The Cardo has the advantage of being waterproof, or rated as waterproof. But I've never had a Sena fail because it got water damage, so I don't know that that's a huge issue.
Sure,
not as much an issue as some people I think make from it. I love the open mesh technology that Sena has.
Yep.
I mean, are you using that, or?
Yeah, I'm using the 50 as well. The 50C. Yeah.
So that open mesh, I think, is a game changer. I mean, in fact, I was just riding with someone the other day, and within three minutes, we were hooked up.
Yeah.
I think you had Chris Caliente out there recently.
Yeah, I was just riding recently with Chris Caliente, and he says hi to you, by the way.
Okay, well, he knows same thing. And
of course,
just 2 or 3, maybe 3 years ago, I was on a group ride with him and some other guys here in Dallas. He was out here.
Yeah.
And I'll bet we spent the better part of 30 or 45 minutes just trying to get everybody's headset in a group so that we could, I mean, it was just a real pain. If we had had open mesh back then, it would have been a snap. So
that's what we did. We were running open mesh between him and I, and we were having no problems communicating. It was crystal clear.
Yeah.
And I go back and forth too between Senna and Cardo as well. So I'm kind of just like you, but that particular day we did some recording. The 50C does the recording, and it has good mesh technology, and I think it's a great headset, and so is Cardo, like you said. So
yeah, I pretty much like the way the Senna pairs up to. I use a GPS. I use a Garmin GPS.
Yeah.
And I pair it on the second channel so that I can have my navigation come through, and I have the Goldwing on the first channel.
Yes.
And it just seems to work maybe a little more reliably than Cardo. Sometimes I have had some issues with the Cardo.
Yeah.
But
we were talking that day about it, and we ended up right where we're at right here. He likes them both, so we can't decide which one, but we had a good time that day. I was thinking of one other thing too. Your channel has really evolved over the years. If somebody was starting a YouTube channel or wanted to get into vlogging in general, what advice would you give someone? Because where you started way back when and where you are today, what kind of advice would you want to give somebody if they wanted to start something like that?
Well, I think it depends on what they're expecting out of it.
Yeah.
If they're expecting to make money, be prepared. It's going to take some time.
Sure.
If they're expecting to do it because, sort of like riding a motorcycle, vlogging or YouTube or video editing becomes a passion in and of itself.
Yeah.
So I have a friend that was over here just a week ago, Robert White, and he has a YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. He maybe has 1,000 subscribers. It's a new channel.
Yeah.
It's mostly photography, but he also is doing some Goldwing content and vlogging. Mm-hmm. And I think he just loves doing it. I think he enjoys vlogging. It's like a journal. It's more like making a video journal. And that's, I think, part of what I look at it as well.
Yeah.
Now it's become a business, but when I started out, it was not a business. It was just something I was doing for my own
enthusiasm. Yeah. Yeah.
So if somebody came to me and said, how do I have a YouTube channel where, we can go full time and make enough money out of YouTube, I'd say probably not going to happen, at least not in the motorcycle segment.
That's like
if you're an attractive 19 to 25-year-old girl, yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's where the money is.
Sure.
And because that's what people want to. That's what I want to watch.
Sure.
No, nobody wants to look at me. That's why I do good with a helmet on. I get much better views with my helmet on than I do without it. So,
but you have so much to say and share with everybody, Chris.
Well, yeah. But it's still better done behind a helmet. And I joke on the cruise side of things. When I do a cruise video, I always tell people that cruise lines lie to you because they put out these brochures and they show these beautiful people sitting there eating dinner. When you go on the ship in real life,
there's a lot of ugly people on the ship.
They look like me. They don't look like these guys in the brochure. So it's kind of the same thing with YouTube, So, I mean, there's a couple of girls that have really nice motorcycle YouTube channels. Do a really good job. I mean, excellent. They do excellent video work, and they're attractive young ladies, and they're smart, and they are good riders, and it's fun to watch them. So
Sure.
if you're in that segment, you might actually make money on YouTube. But the rest of us, I think we do it. I know you probably do this too. We do it to support our other business interests.
Sure.
It's a tool for us to reach people that we may not otherwise reach. It's like an advertising medium for the other things we do. So
Yeah, I would call it a vehicle. It's a vehicle, isn't it?
it's a vehicle. Yeah.
Yeah. This is how we communicate to our audience. And I agree with you. If somebody wanted to start something, it could be just for passion. It could be just for enthusiasm. As a matter of fact, when I was spending some time with Chris Caliente, that's how he started. He just started doing it just because he enjoyed it. And then one thing led to another, and he started doing more and more. And I think, I think it just depends on what people want to do and what they're after and what their goal is, So, it's funny. When I started Wing Stuff, I did it more out of passion than I did as a business. I was trying to help people.
Sure.
You couldn't find Goldwing accessories. It was hard to find. So I decided I'm going to try to help people, and look at me today, just like look at you today. I mean,
Right.
but not that I didn't want to do it as a career or do it for a lifetime. But in the beginning, I wasn't planning it that way. I did it to help people.
Exactly.
And it just evolved into something a lot bigger than that.
And the same, I think, would apply if somebody asked you, how would I start a Goldwing accessory business? I mean, you can't, is something that can be learned, but it can't be taught.
No. And there's no one reason. It's a recipe. People will ask you, how do you become successful? How can I start a business? How can I start a YouTube channel? How can I start anything? Well, it takes time. And the first thing that I would tell people is you have to love what you're doing, because you're going to work hard at it. Let's face it, no matter what you're doing, if you're going to be successful, whatever that is, you're going to want to put effort into it. And
that's right.
There's nothing like putting effort into something that you love to do.
Well, and there's also I try to do this with my videos. You do it with your business, because I can tell you've put a lot of effort and energy and money into your website, for example.
Yes.
And a lot of companies out there that sell accessories don't.
Yeah.
Their websites are hard to navigate. They're clunky.
Sure.
And you can still buy parts from them, but it's just not as pleasurable an experience. And you don't have to have a nice website to have an accessory business, but you want your website to be nice. You want the experience to be good.
Sure.
It's just like if you had a retail store, it wouldn't be a messy retail store. It'd be a nice retail store.
That's right.
And so, with YouTube or any video I do, I always try to do the editing and the lighting and the production. And I'm always trying to make it a little better.
Sure.
As opposed to just throwing up something that's just garbage, because there's a lot of garbage on YouTube.
Yeah, there is.
There's a lot of junky videos.
And you have a lot of pride in what you do. So, and it shows, right? So, I like that, that's why I think your channel's so interesting. And I've seen it grow over the years. So, congratulations for that. And I can tell that you like doing what you do, because it's a lot of work. And if you didn't love what you're doing, I don't think you would still be doing it. And so
that's exactly right, and that's why I'm backing off on some of the, like I said, these Chinese knockoff products, because I don't really love doing that. I don't really enjoy it. It's just like I feel obligated to do it, and I shouldn't.
And and I know you're doing more collaboration lately, and some of those products may be products that you don't want to promote. Maybe you don't believe in it. Maybe you feel as though, and it could even be a knockoff of an original brand that's here.
Absolutely.
And that happens. And even for us, I mean, we won't sell anything except original, authentic brands, because we both know that the quality is not the same. You might think it is. It is not.
Right.
No way. And even the threads, we ended up getting a luggage rack back. It was about a year or so ago, and I'm going to make an example out of this. And somebody was trying to return it with a note in the box, which is not how we do it. We get a return authorization, and we look up your order, and we do it the right way. But it happened to be a rack that wasn't even bought from us. It was a copy of another brand rack. It was a copy rack.
A knockoff, yeah, just
it was a knockoff rack. And I looked at it. The chrome was terrible. The shape and design was the same as the original, but the chrome was terrible. The threads were terrible. I would never buy it. Never in a million years would I buy something like that. But
I had this discussion with Mark at Showchrome when I was up there recently.
Yeah.
And you know, I told him, I said, I've got an office full of boxes right now, and I've sort of obligated more or less to do some videos for these guys. And I said, I've already told them that's it for me. I'm not doing any more after I'm done with these 2 or 3 products.
Yeah.
It's over, because I know for a fact that a couple of the products are just ripoffs. I mean, it's just, I don't want to recommend something to my viewers that I wouldn't put on my bike.
It's a sad situation that some of these name brands that we're selling are getting copied by counterfeiters, and the quality is not even close. So it not only dilutes the brand itself, the real brand, but why would you even buy something like that? So I admire you and thank you for taking a stand like that, because a lot of that stuff that's out there being circulated, it's terrible quality, and you don't want to put it on your motorcycle.
Right.
And that's why we want to preserve the companies that are spending the time developing good products for your bike, that are putting out a good quality product for your bike. And that's all we want to sell. And I'm glad that, you're supporting that as well, because we don't want the market to get infiltrated with junk copy stuff that isn't even the original brand,
Yeah, this isn't just, I don't think this is just motorcycles. I think this is every industry right now.
Yeah.
Thanks to Amazon.
Yeah, you hear stories about people buying lotion and they get a rash on their skin because it's not the original lotion. It's some, counterfeit lotion in the bottle. Now that's even scarier.
Exactly. Yeah.
Especially if you're putting it on your body.
Exactly. Or eating it like a virus.
Or eating it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just insane. So,
yeah.
And some of these things, like I've got 3 power supply, what do you call them? Little portable power supply things sitting here. Mm-hmm. 3 different companies have sent them to me. What if that thing catches on fire?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I don't know who this company is. I've never heard of the name of this company.
That's right. Right.
So, and then, so you have to always wonder, what's the safety like? Because, and they might print UL listed or whatever the other certifications are, and
you have no idea.
China can print anything they want on there.
You have no idea. If you leave that thing plugged in, it shut off. The next morning, it burns your house down. You have no idea.
Exactly. So,
and you have no idea if you're putting stuff on your bike, especially if you get like risers for your handlebars.
Exactly.
Break.
What's the metallurgy like?
What is the metal inside? Is it porous? Is it strong? That's the scary thing, folks, that we're trying to tell you right now is be very careful.
I actually hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, especially with handlebar related things. I mean, we sell handlebar risers from reputable companies, and you could be assured if it goes on your bike, it's going to protect you and keep you safe. I would never bolt on handlebar risers from one of those knockoff companies.
Right. Exactly.
So it's like a knockoff tire. That's If I never heard of the brand, I'm not putting it on my bike.
Yeah, I pretty much stick with Bridgestone or Dunlop.
Yeah, exactly. Not Acme brand.
No, I mean, there's a couple of brands out there I've heard of that some people say good things about, and I'm not that familiar with the name, so I just shy away from it. It's not that much money, It's not like and if it was that much money, I really wouldn't trust it. If it was a $25 tire, I'm damn sure not going to put it on my bike.
Well, we just want to bring this to the forefront for people out there, because both Chris and myself have seen a lot of this knockoff stuff out there, and it's, besides terrible quality, you get into safety concerns as well. And I am really, really nervous when I hear about, things like that being sold, handlebar risers, or even things for your tire, or even valve stems, things like that. Always try to buy quality.
Brake pads.
Brake pads. Exactly.
You know, I mean, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. It's not
There's some brake pads out there that if you put them on your wing, you probably wouldn't get more than a few thousand miles out of them. And maybe they have an application for your Goldwing, but don't put them on. And you can guarantee that we would never have them on our website.
And hopefully they don't fail.
Yeah, that's another thing. That's
so, you know, they could break, or they could, you know, there's a lot of pressure on a brake pad. Yeah,
there's brake rotors, right? Like we get, you know, like EBC is a reputable company, but you might find brand X, and we're going to call it brand X. It's no name, and you're going to buy a replacement brake rotor for your Goldwing because it's half price. Well,
right.
It's half price for a reason.
Yep.
I would never. I mean, you want that brake rotor to crack in half when you're braking, coming to a stop. I mean,
exactly
the things you got to pay attention to.
Right.
I'm glad we touched on that subject, and thank you for supporting that and trying to keep people safe out there and making those decisions. And we make the same kind of decisions with our company. We won't sell anything that's sub quality like that, and especially if it's a safety item. But even if it's not, you know, we just stay away from it. So I congratulate you on that. And, you know, we want all the viewers out there, we want you guys to pay attention to this stuff. You know, don't buy anything that you think is a knockoff item for the reasons that we're giving you. The quality guaranteed. That's a guarantee. The quality is not even close.
Right.
To the original brand. And it does scare me that there's some, you know, rotors and brake pads out there and things like that are safety concerns. So please, we want to keep you guys safe out there. And
sure.
Chris will do that in his way by not promoting the wrong things. And we do the same thing with our website. You never find anything on Wing Stuff if it was something that we didn't believe in or it wasn't up to our quality standards. Because we're here to do a service, just like Chris is there to do a service to you. We're all doing that for you guys. We're trying to educate you. We're trying to keep you safe. You know, exactly. If we're selling something, you could rest assured that it's good. It's
exactly.
You know.
And I usually, you know, no matter what if it's a product for a motorcycle, I'll usually tell people right up front or at the end of the video whether or not I am using it on my bike.
Right.
You know, I may review something.
Sure.
But I'll let them know, hey, I'm not using it on my bike. And here's why. Here's the one I use. So they can take that however they want to, but usually if it's something I'll give you one example. The Sena Impulse helmet. I got some helmets in the other day. In fact, I've got one sitting around here somewhere. Mm-hmm. That's in the closet. I got a couple of helmets in a company sent me, and they're like $30 helmets.
Yeah.
And, you know, I reviewed them, and I guess if you're out on an ATV and you don't have, I guess it's better than wearing nothing, which is what I said in the video.
Right.
You know, not wearing anything. Yeah, you fall down, you hit a rock, it might keep your head from getting scratched. But I don't wear that on my Goldwing as a daily product. I don't expect it to have the same quality or protection as a $200 or $300 or $400 Shoei or $600 Shoei or whatever. You know, sometimes it gets ridiculous. Some of this stuff is so cheap.
I know.
Now, if it's an oil drain pan, yeah, if you can get one for $10, you throw it away if it fails.
Why do you want to chase to the bottom for a helmet? And that happens a lot.
Exactly.
But do you sell cheap helmets? I mean, how much are you worth, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, of all the parts you could put on.
Yeah.
You know, your head is probably one of the most important things you could protect.
You know, many years ago, we had a big poster in the dealership, and it said, if you have a $10 head, wear a $10 helmet. And that saying has a lot of credibility, you know?
Yeah, it does.
And so nowadays, there's a lot of good helmets. But folks, come on, buy a good helmet. Buy a decent helmet. If you don't want to spend a lot of money, you can still buy a decent quality helmet without spending very much money at all. So
and probably plan on replacing it every 5 years.
Yeah, it's another good thing.
You know, because I think that the plastic probably deteriorates over time, especially if you ride out in the sun a lot, like I do.
Yeah.
You know, or if you drop it. You know?
Yeah. Plastic or fiberglass every 5 or 6 years should be replaced because they will dry out. they will get brittle, and they're not going to offer the same, safety that they offered before. So people don't think of that. So you're right about that. You folks out there should be thinking about that. Don't have a helmet for 10 plus years. You need to change them every 5 or 6 years. Just like, you might look at your tires on your car, or especially on a truck or a motorhome. I have a motorhome, and a lot of times I don't drive it a lot, but guess what? Every 5 or 6 years, I got to change those tires because I have plenty of tread, but it might blow up. My rubber is dried out, and that happened to me, by the way. Wow. I was driving. I went dirt bike riding with my kids, and I took them out to the desert, and we were riding home, and it was at night. And I heard this explosion. It sounded like a bomb dropped. I mean, it was like an explosion, and it was basically one of my tires that just blew up. And I was lucky it was a rear tire, so I was able to keep it on the road. But plenty of tread. I looked at all the other tires. Everything looked great. It was the age of the tire. Yeah, it was the age. That tire was probably pushing 7 years, maybe 8 years old, and I didn't realize it. So I'm very proactive now with my tires. I always have been, but on the motorhome, I just didn't notice because the tires looked like they were brand new. So even on a motorcycle or a car, if they're old, they're just as dangerous as if they were bald with no tread.
Well, and on a motorcycle, you only got 2 of them.
That's true.
If one of them goes, bad things can happen. So
that's very true.
I see guys riding on tires that look like, I never put more than 10,000 miles, maybe 11 at the most on a set of tires.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want to risk it.
No, you're right.
It's just not worth it.
Why would you wait until the tire is bald? Some people do that. So, folks, don't be one of those people. The only thing between you and the asphalt is your tire. So I think most people are safety oriented on motorcycles, especially Goldwing riders. Yeah. And most of the time they have somebody on the back, either their wife or girlfriend. Yeah. So, if there was one thing in the world as far as safety for a motorcycle, I would say tires. Check your air pressure, check your tires. And on the Goldwing, the rear tire is kind of a pain to see because you got to reach up and look underneath. So I would encourage people to do that more than you're doing now.
Well, I know you're the host, but I'm going to ask you a question.
Sure.
And this is probably going to strike right at Chris Caliente. What's your view on dark siding?
Oh boy, are you hitting me with a hard question?
You're gonna upset half the people out there.
You're gonna drag me into that. Well, all right. I'm just gonna tell you my own opinion. Okay, I prefer motorcycle tires. I'm not a big fan of a tire that is supposed to be on a car. I know you can put it on a motorcycle, so I don't want anybody mad at me. All you dark side people out there, don't get mad at me. I'm just giving you my feelings on it. I prefer to ride on a motorcycle tire. That's me. And there's all kind of there's controversy out there. We won't get that all in here. And Chris is probably laughing inside right now because this has been going on for so many years on the internet, on forums. It just takes one guy to throw a post in there about a car tire, and that's it. This post is going to go for a year. And it's either that or what oil do I use in my bike?
Yeah, that.
No. So what is your take on it now? You dragged me into that.
I pretty much have your same position. I prefer to ride on a motorcycle tire.
Right.
I'm not saying it's unsafe because I don't know. I've never done it. I know a lot of people do it. They seem to love it.
Yep, a lot of them.
I understand the appeal of it.
Yeah.
But it's just not my thing, So I understand that there's a big cost savings. It's a lot less expensive to run a car tire, but to me, the cost of a motorcycle tire is not that much anyway. If I was putting 100,000 miles a year on a motorcycle, that might be different, but I'm not. So it just, I'm kind of taking your position. I have heard a couple of people that have had some horror stories.
Yes.
But most people that do it seem to be happy with it. And I think it's kind of like this, if that's what you want to do, I don't have a problem with it.
Sure.
It's not me, it's not my bike. So if
Yeah.
it's your bike and you want a car tire, go right ahead.
Yeah, and liability wise, I wouldn't recommend it anyway, of course, because I'm in business. But
Right.
my own opinion, I recommend a motorcycle tire for it. But I will not engage, and I'm not going to get into, the pros, the cons. I mean, that's been going on for years. But
Sure.
it's funny you asked me that. I was waiting for you to ask me about what oil I use or the tire thing. But
You're never going to go wrong using Honda oil.
that's right. That is true.
Yeah.
And that's
So when people ask me, and I've used other oils, but when people ask me, I just say, hey, just use Honda.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to worry about it. Yeah.
I've been using their oil for years anyway, so that is the truth.
Yeah, I do too.
And they have good oil. They have very
do.
good oil.
Very good.
Well, that's funny. Well, you know what? I think we'll wrap up now, Chris. I really enjoyed having you on the program, and we'll invite you back down the road.
Cool.
I think there's a lot of people out there that enjoy your channel, and Chris proves to people, especially with all the stuff we sell, a lot of the stuff that we sell, you can put it on yourself. It's not as hard as you think.
That's right.
So Chris will give you a little more confidence with that. So I would tell you to go check out his YouTube channel, Cruiseman, Cruiseman's Garage, rather. That's the exact name of it. And we're going to have all that stuff in the detail area of this podcast and video. So we'll give you all the links, and you go check out Chris's channel. And you get some interesting stuff you do, Chris. I know a lot of people like watching you, and maybe there's a lot of people that never heard of you and they're watching this podcast. And go check out his YouTube channel. Chris is always coming up with some kind of video that's going to keep us going. Maybe it's something we never heard of. Maybe it's how to put something on. You've been all over the place. You've done so many different videos, and, I think you're doing a great job, Chris, and I can tell you having a good time doing it. So
appreciate it.
So with that,
and hope to do it again.
there you go. So with that said, we'll invite Chris back at a later date. And in the meantime, just telling everybody to be safe out there. Check your tires like we told you, especially your rear tire and your air pressure. Yes.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you on the next episode of WingCast. So take care, everybody.
Okay. Thanks.